fellow romance readers, I'm Amy.
And I'm Sarah, and this is Post-Book Depression. You know that feeling you get when you finish a good book that you didn't want to end?
Have you finished a book and just weren't ready to move on from the story and its beloved characters? You find yourself needing just a little more? This multi-trope romance podcast gives you the opportunity to dig deeper with us into books we love as we discuss all the reasons we can't move on.
Feeling chatty? You can continue the conversation with us on Instagram at Post-Book Depression Podcast or on Facebook in our Post-Book Depression discussion group.
We would be so grateful if you would subscribe to our podcast and take a moment to leave a review.
Are you ready? Let's discuss.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Amy.
And I'm Sarah, and today we're going to be discussing When We Had Forever by Shaylin Gandhi.
The first few minutes we're going to do a brief review of this story without any spoilers. Then we are going to shift over into a deeper book discussion that's going to include lots of spoilers. But don't worry, we're going to let you know before we do shift over into that deeper book discussion.
That's right. So before we move over, Amy, tell us a little bit about the story.
6 months after her husband's death, a woman is still trying to make peace through her grief while realizing that her marriage was over long before her husband's death. When she's cleaning out her husband's office, she makes a discovery that will alter everything she thought she knew about him. When she decides to take some time away in her family's cabin to process everything, her husband's brother shows up and they form a connection while they work through her discovery together. Sarah, what did you think about When We Had Forever?
Okay, so we have read a ton of the spouse dying this year.
Yes,
it's a whole trope that has come across. So,
in 2025, the year of the dead husband trope.
It's been the dead husband trope for sure. And we were so hesitant. And I'm so glad that we jumped into this story because number one, it is unlike any of the others we have read.
That's true.
When I say I devoured this within 24 hours, I devoured this within 24 hours. I could not put this story down. There's some twists, there's some turns, there's a little bit of, I don't want to say mystery. That's not quite the right word, but
intrigue.
That's the word, intrigue. I loved this story. I loved it so much. I could not put it down. What did you think?
I also, in my notes, have this story was one I couldn't put down. Yeah. I read it nearly straight through. Mm-hmm. I couldn't stop thinking about it. When I wasn't reading it, I was thinking about it. After I finished, I was thinking about it. Yep. I wanted to message you and talk about it throughout the whole thing. I'm glad I didn't because then, we wouldn't have a show. Yeah, exactly. It is so beautiful and the chemistry of the characters is unmatched and just so beautifully written. Yeah. I loved the story.
This was my first time with this author.
Me too.
And I cannot wait to read everything in her backlist.
Yes.
The writing was incredible.
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's get into those ratings. Angst.
Okay, I did a 1.5 for this.
I did too. And there's a scene I'm specifically thinking about that caused me to bump it up to a 2.
Okay.
Yes, and we'll talk about that in the deeper
I'm excited.
Discussion. Humor.
It was just like a 0.75.
I did 0.5.
Yeah, there's a couple of moments sprinkled throughout that kind of lessens the angst and sadness, I guess. But yeah.
Spiciness.
Wait, did you give your humor? Oh yeah, you did. You said 0.5. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway.
Spiciness.
I did it too.
I did 1. It's kind of a little bit of a slow burn, but also I don't want to give too much away. So yeah. I'm going to stick with 1 and you'll have to figure out why when we chat about it or when you read it.
A lot of frequency.
Yeah.
Mentioned.
Yes, but it's not terribly detailed. But it's not
detailed.
Yeah.
I gave it 2 for the frequency.
Okay.
We'll get more
that's
into
fair.
it.
Tears.
1.5.
I did 1. I didn't cry. I was more intrigued than sad.
Agreed.
Overall.
5.
5. I love it when we both find a 5 together.
I do too. And
I had a feeling this was going to be a 5 for you also.
Yeah.
Just because of how obsessed you were with it after you finished and you were very excited to discuss it. You finished it before I did and...
Now I will say, and we're going to talk about this in the deeper discussion if I remember, that I teetered between a 4.5 and a 5.
Oh, okay.
But there's a reason why.
Okay.
So with the author, if you listen to this, we need to chat. But ultimately, after talking it through with Amy, I was like, fair, 5. And now you have to listen to the rest of this to know why.
And I'm glad you gave it a 5 because I feel like it was worthy of a 5.
Absolutely worthy of a 5.
That concludes the spoiler-free quick review of this story. Now we're going to shift over into the deeper book discussion, which is going to include lots of spoilers. So if you haven't read this story, go check it out and then come back and join us on our deeper discussion. And we would love to connect with you on social media. You can find us on Instagram at Postbook Depression Podcast, on Facebook in our Postbook Depression discussion group, and you can also email us at postbookdepressionpodcast@gmail.com. I wasn't really sure when I started reading this book what the tone was going to be.
Yeah.
I was bracing for a suspense, and it definitely wasn't that. So when the scene opens and she's reflecting on her husband's death, I wasn't really sure what direction it was going to go. It's kind of where my mind was bracing for just a different vibe.
I was very confused, if I'm being honest, because she's sitting there thinking about, when did my marriage end? Mm-hmm. And I thought her husband died. So I kind of went back to make sure I was reading the right thing. Mm-hmm. Then she kind of thinks, was she thinking about his brother? Mm-hmm. So I just didn't know which way to go with this. I was really, okay.
What an interesting opening.
It was.
Kind of,
when she's thinking about the moment, like, was I shaving my legs? The description too of, like, I could just see, like, she describes, like, the shaving cream in the water, and so it's like you could visualize the scene playing out of where she's trying to figure out when her marriage ended. What a way to phrase that, though.
Yes.
Because most people don't think, when did I stop being a wife, just because their spouse dies. Mm-hmm. I mean, at least I don't think they do.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Yeah.
You still feel like you're married.
Right. So it was very interesting, and that kind of hooked me immediately as, why would a person think that way?
Which, now having read the story, it's obvious she's thinking about not just when he dies, but when their marriage fell apart and when their connection was kind of severed.
Yes.
Not was kind of. When their connection was severed.
Right. But you don't really know that because she's so wrapped up in her grief. I think, is it 6 months since he's passed? How she just kind of avoids things. I did actually, when I finished, I went back and read it, the beginning again.
Did you?
Yes, because she talks about the coffee mug and then how she tosses it kind of on top of his stuff, but she doesn't do it with care. Mm-hmm. And it was just, you see all these things and you're like, okay, that makes so much sense. And then her obsession with running.
Oh, yeah.
Which was...
because she immediately gets on her shoes and goes for a run, which
no
is...
socks or anything.
Girlfriend, that was my first thought, too. As a runner, that bothered me.
Yeah, I thought, ow. Oh.
Yes. And that is, we learn later that that's a coping mechanism that she has. Let's, do you want to talk about that? I mean, since we mentioned it, or do you want to wait?
Sure, we can talk about it.
We do learn that was something that Michael always pushed her to do whenever they didn't want to talk about something. It was kind of an avoidance issue.
When he didn't want to talk about something.
Why don't you go for a run? You'd feel better if you went for a run. So that became a way that she processed in a way to sort of suppress whatever feelings or emotions she was feeling and work through that, I guess. I think part of the reason why, I don't know this is speculation, the author chose to write this in the opening scene was it sets it up to be a little bit more believable, which we'll get into when she has to run to catch her ride to Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, she was already a runner, so it doesn't seem like it's quite...
because she had to run 3 miles for that.
It's not like mean, like a husband's like, why don't you go for a run?
No. He's phrasing it in a way.
She's a runner, and he doesn't want to deal with things because he just doesn't like to communicate, I guess. But it kind of becomes a thing. I mean, it is interesting when you're getting these flashbacks to their marriage, because we have to kind of say it is like a
dual timeline.
Thank you. So we get the snippets of when they met, kind of traveling through their marriage in present day. So for her, she wants to kind of fight back to that, I don't want to go run, we need to talk about this, but she gives in so many times that it really does, like, she even thinks to herself, I will feel better.
It's ingrained in her body. We don't know the reason why, but early on we get an inclination that Mina hates Grayson. Mm-hmm. She has this hate towards him. We don't know why.
Which is her brother-in-law.
Yes, her brother-in-law. It's Michael's brother. Mm-hmm. And we know just through her thought process that there was some kind of collision or incident between the 3 of them, but we don't know what that is until much later. And we'll get into what that is much further into our discussion. But early on, she has these just kind of
very hateful feelings towards him.
Yeah. She's also processing grief over Michael in this whole time. And she has a lot on her mind.
She does. And one of the things that I find interesting, if we can go here, is that everything seems to be, she's devastated by his loss, but she has a best friend who points out the flaws in their marriage. And then that's kind of where, because you do have this dual timeline, that when she first meets Michael, it's like this intense chemistry. And all I kept thinking was, there's no way they go from this intense chemistry to
falling out of love. And then when she is always thinking about, yeah, you're right. And then when we, as the reader, are seeing that it was only good for a little bit, but most of their marriage was her trying to get back the Michael that she fell in love with. It was just very interesting. Yeah. I was kind of like, okay, what's going to happen in the story that's going to really change our opinion of Michael? Because I just love the way the author did this, because you really do think that she's just so heartbroken until somebody points out it wasn't all perfect. And you were even thinking about divorce. Yes. Yeah. So we'll get into that.
Yeah.
I want to shift back into the past time. Okay. Let's talk about their meet cute. She is with her friend Kate. You mentioned Kate. Yeah. And I love this friend dynamic between them two. Kate's such a strong friend and a good influence on her. And they're having this conversation at a carnival festival
thing, yeah.
Festival. Michael is at a pie throwing table, and he is highly eavesdropping.
Yeah.
Unabashedly, he is eavesdropping on their conversation. I love this scene so much.
I do too.
Let's talk about their meet cute.
Kate and Mina are kind of having a discussion. Mina is leaving.
She's wanting to go to Greece.
She's actually gearing up. She's trying to sweet talk Kate. She needs Kate to drive her to Seattle. She is supposed to be cleaning out a great aunt's house to get it ready for sale. She's passed away, and so she's doing this as a favor to a cousin. She's trying to sweet talk Kate, but her and Kate had promised each other that they were going to be with each other, like have an apartment, whatever, do all the things that best friends do. And Kate feels abandoned because she's leaving for Greece. Michael is listening to all of this. He has pie all over his face. They're doing a fundraiser, but she locks eyes with him. And there's like a smile, and there's this whole thing. And so Kate makes a bet with her that if you can hit this guy in the face, so she takes that bet. And they have some
she would give her
incredible banter.
Yes.
Back and forth.
Fire.
That, like, you could feel the tension of chemistry between these people.
Yes, friend, yes.
I love scenes like this, that they paint this picture, because I feel like this intense attraction doesn't happen most of the time where you actually get to be with that person. So I really love it when an author can write it and you feel it. And it was so good.
Yeah, the bet was if she hits him in the face. No, if she hits him in the face, Kate will take her, because he offers her a ride.
Yeah.
And he's hoping she loses the bet.
Yeah.
Yes. So, that's what it was. Yes. Yeah. If she hits him in the face, Kate will take her to Seattle, which is a 3-hour drive. He offers a ride because he's going to Seattle the next day, and he tells her, I'm staying at this hotel. I'm leaving at this time. So if you change your mind.
Yeah.
Because she ends up hitting a pie in the face in the end.
I think it's so funny, because Kate is like, excuse you, why are you in this conversation? This guy is a total creep. Why are you listening to us? You are not riding. I will be taking her, sir. Like, the whole thing is, I am going to take her. You aren't taking her. I love that she is so,
she changed her
like, she does not want to take her, and then all of a sudden he's offering, and she's like, what? No, you psycho. So funny.
The next morning, Kate has a car trouble, and she calls her, and we discover that Mina's alarm, she's slept past that and freaking out. She has 30 minutes to try and get to Michael at his hotel, and he's 3 miles away from her. So she has to run. I mentioned this a moment ago. The girl must sprint if she can make it there and pack a bag in 30 minutes, but she does. I'm impressed. That's some speed. She goes and she's looking for him in the lobby, hoping she hadn't missed him, and she runs into a couple of his coworkers. He's there for a business retreat. They tell her, he he didn't want
He's a jerk.
Yeah, he's rude. He's a jerk. He doesn't want anybody riding with. He wants to ride alone.
Right.
There's no way he would offer a ride to someone. About this time, she sees him backing out of his parking spot and runs over. And I love this scene so much. They have more banter, more tension in their flirtiness. He's asking if she's wanting a ride. She gets into the car and they go on their merry way. And they just have 3 hours of just chemistry.
Yeah.
And it's delightful.
It is. I love that she sends a message to Kate because Kate is freaking out that she actually rode with him. And she takes a picture of the license that is in the glove box.
Which brings up an interesting point. Well, say what you're going to say.
Well, I was going to say, were you not curious about his reaction?
Yes.
Because he looks very sad and subdued in his photo.
But when they talk about it, and he talks about how, when he talks about Lily, the fiance, and him being responsible for her death, I thought to myself, okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
The red flags were taken down. They were like pink flags at that point.
It wasn't for me. The second he reacts the way, because she says, "Are you Michael whatever?"
And he said, "Would you still ride with me if I wasn't?"
Yeah. I instantly was like, this dude ain't Michael. Mm-hmm. But then I thought, but why does he have a license? And then I thought, this guy's got to have a twin or something. Something's off with that. Like, immediately knew.
Okay, I picked up on the twin vibe in the very first chapter when she says she would have to see his face on the magazines. I said, oh, he's a twin. For sure. Because she said I'd have to see his face on the magazines or something. And I thought, he's definitely a twin. But I didn't pick up on the fact that they had swapped play. I picked up on very early on, like 15% in the book. It was actually when she's going to his office.
I didn't think they had swapped.
Oh, I did.
I thought he took his car. I thought he had just been driving his Audi.
Oh, okay.
I did not think that they had intentionally swapped places.
I figured out the swap early on, but I couldn't figure out the why or how they pulled it off.
It wasn't until they get to the apartment. I know we're kind of jumping around.
It's okay.
But when they get to the apartment, she's looking at a photograph that's taken by the brother.
Yep.
It's supposed to be Grayson. Mm-hmm. And then she's looking at these architectural photos, and she has a very distinct difference in her opinion. And there's something about the way he responds to that. And also, when they first walk in...
Yeah, I was going to say, prior to that, his reaction to her reaction...
Yeah.
About her
how
being
nice it is.
Yes. And he seemed disappointed in her reaction to that.
Yeah.
That was also a moment where I had been thinking... It really solidified in my mind when they were looking at the painting. And
so, I knew at that point he was not Michael. But I did not think for a second that they had actually swapped places.
Tell me then, and I know we'll get to all these juicy details, but tell me when was the moment you figured out they had swapped places as twins?
When he comes back from being arrested.
Okay.
His reaction when he has the fight and he comes in, and her reaction to him, this is right before they sleep together, and he says, "No one's looked at me like that."
That's a good
And
point.
he was so drastically different. And then the next day... He was just different. I thought he would never... And then when he wanted to take her to a fancy restaurant, that instantly, like, she's disappointed because she wanted the take-in or take-out. I knew. I'm like, this isn't the same brother. But I didn't understand why.
Same. I didn't know the full scope of it until he reveals it at the end. I knew they had swapped places. I didn't understand... I was trying to figure out why, because... So, do we want to just swap, like, call the real Grayson the real Grayson now? Do we want to swap? Let's swap the names and call them their legit names now, just to keep things straight. So, when we say Grayson, we're talking about the legit Grayson. We talk about Michael, we're talking about the brother that died.
Yes. We're going to be all over the place in this story.
I know. But it's when Grayson is actually explaining. I couldn't figure out why. Because of Grayson's immense... passion and connection to her, I could not figure out for the life of me why he would what would make him walk away from that.
Same.
So we'll come back to that.
Yes.
While we're still talking about the past, let's talk about Mina's plans for her trip to Greece, which she's already mentioned like around their meet cute, and she's planning to go for a while, and her desire to travel. Let's talk about this whole setup here.
Well, one, I thought of you. because she loves to travel.
I do.
And
love
Amy
to
is a
travel.
world traveler.
I do love it.
But I felt sad for Mina because she's never been anywhere and she's really been limited by her mom's fear.
Okay, let's talk about that.
We learn very quickly that she when she's thinking about her trip to Greece, she hasn't told her mom, and she's kind of in her mind thinking of when she's going to tell her mom, because she's trying to get money she has money to be over there, but she's supposed to be cleaning out this aunt's house so that she can get the money for the ticket. So Grayson, real Grayson, not Michael, but acting as though he's Michael, he offered, this is after he rescues her, because we should probably mention,
Clean break.
so she is supposed to be going to her aunt's house to clean it. She gets there. It's really kind of a hoarder situation. There's this really gross guy that's staying there. He puts his hands on her. She's, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to work this. Just tell my cousin I can't do this. And Grayson sees this. He steps in. He gets her out of that situation. They go to leave. He offers her to buy a ticket so she can go to Greece.
Yeah.
She wants to earn it. But really the reason why she wants to travel and she's scared to tell her mom, do we go ahead and bring up what happened? Why her mom's afraid?
Yeah.
So when her mom was pregnant with her older brother was around 2. They were out of the country, kind of like a baby moon. And he died tragically.
Yes.
And
he had an appendix issue.
Right. She goes into labor that same day, early labor, has Mina, and they had to stay there for a few months because she's in NICU. And so ever since then, her mom is terrified.
In addition, her friend had an accident while traveling.
Yeah, so
too.
in high school, her friend studied abroad, had a ziplining accident. So she has this whole irrational fear of traveling, and she has projected that on, like, not that Mina is scared to travel. Mina wants to travel, but she fears disappointing her mom because she does want to travel.
Yeah.
So she kind of is having to do all this in secret.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate for her to be passionate about this and not be able to tell her family about it just because of the panic that she knows her mom will have surrounding that.
And it's more than just the desire to travel. She wants to be a travel journalist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
that's her passion.
What an unfortunate dream to have when your mom is like, can't leave the country.
That's true. You mentioned she had told Grayson, as Michael, that she wanted to earn the ticket after he offered to buy it. He asks her after she declines that if she'll go take a drive with him. There's somewhere that he wants to go and take her, and she agrees. And I love that he drives her to Canada, so she's able to leave the country. Very awesome. And they get out and they go down into this cave. I love this scene so much. One, just because caves are very cool and just kind of the ambiance of it. But then when you find out, he asks if she can hold her breath and she says yes. She says yes. And he takes her and they swim for a little bit, 60 seconds. I don't remember how long it was. And they come up in this different place of it. It's very beautiful. And they're talking about just the beauty of everything. And when they finally get to talking, he tells her, I'm not going to ask you to stay, but I do want to ask you something. And it's here that he asks her, will you stay the 30 days with me? Mm-hmm. Find a job somewhere, raise your money for your ticket, go to sleep with me, wake up next to me, and spend the next 30 days just being with me.
Right. Not sleeping together.
Not sleeping. That was the agreement.
Or sexually.
Sex. Yeah, they will not have sex for the 30 days. She agrees. And I really value him so much just as a man, respecting her by not trying to sleep with her for 30 days. He didn't want it to be sexual. He wanted to get to know her as a person. Mm-hmm. And that just bumped him up in my mind of, boyfriend material. And that's true throughout the whole story. He's very much mindful of not tainting the connection by sexual chemistry.
Yeah.
So she does agree to stay for 30 days and work on raising money for her ticket. Let's go back to the present timeline when she is finally, after all this time, going to go into Michael's office and start trying to tidy that up. And she'd already alluded to the fact that she had thought about divorce for the last 4 years of their marriage. It just wasn't that great, which we learned that the 4-year mark was when they took the Hawaii trip. Mm-hmm. And when she's doing that, she finds all the magazine articles of his brother.
Right.
But she also finds signed divorce papers by him on the floor, crisp, brand new. She had actually thought about presenting divorce papers to him.
Printed them out or had them printed, but didn't have them signed.
But lo and behold, she finds signed divorce papers from Michael in the floor of that room and starts to break down.
Was it a month before he died or something like that? It wasn't too terribly long.
It wasn't long before. No, it was, he had found out that he might have cancer and kind of went on a little bit of a scare bender there for a bit. So this puts her on a little bit of a spin, trying to process. This has totally rocked her world. Everything that she thought about her marriage, she's starting to question all of that. She has been, but just further question that. So she calls her mom up and says, I need to take a trip to the family cabin.
Right.
Her mom lets her know, well, you've got 4 days or 3 days or however long it is. We're selling it. So you don't have very long. She goes to the cabin, and it is here once she gets there that she realizes she has an email from Grayson. Mm-hmm. And when she reads it, she realizes that he's wanting to connect with her, try and make amends for she's, had this hatred towards him. And she immediately deletes it. She's frustrated by that and just still annoyed by him. And then later regrets deleting it. And she has to call Kate's husband to try and recover it. He's in technology. And he says he'll work on it. It'll be a little bit. And not long after, Grayson sends her a follow-up email. Mm-hmm. So she didn't really need the recovery anyway, but now she has this message. And I loved this second message that he sent because he's basically apologizing for his bluntness and everything, because her response, she responds to this one about how she didn't even know he existed until recently. And that we later learned.
Like the last 3 years.
Yeah. That was a surprise to him.
Yeah.
Which we come to find out later because he's been in touch with his brother all this time.
Well, she knew he existed. She didn't know he was a twin.
Yes,
identical twin at that. Until she had seen his face on the cover of a magazine.
Can you imagine walking in a grocery store and seeing your spouse's face on what?
Especially the photo, because he's like hiking, I think it was Mount Everest. I mean, he's about to die. Like it's a whole like avalanche situation.
Yes.
So those photos are like intense looking, and she's looking to this rugged, sexy version of her husband. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, you want to explain that?
Yes. Grayson tells her he wants to see her. And she says, I don't think I can manage seeing you because you have my husband's face. How about you call me?
Yeah.
So he does. It's weird at first, but they have a nice conversation, and he offers to call her again, and she agrees. And so 6 hours later, he calls back.
That was so funny to me.
It's great. On one of their phone calls, she happens to mention that when she was on one of her runs, she ran into a bear. Oh my gosh, that's terrifying. And unbeknownst to her, he's actually the one that gave her all the training on hiking and safety and all of that. And so you can imagine he's panicking just from her saying that, because he knows that he's the one that taught her all of that. And he says, I have to come and make sure you're safe. So he shows up at her cabin. She gives him the address. He comes to the cabin. It's later in the evening or nighttime. And they start to, talk things out and have this conversation. And he asks for 3 days. Well, he actually asked for a week because he's leaving to go out of town in a week. And she says, well, you get 3 days because my family's selling this house.
I love that he argued back and said, no, I need more time.
So that's not enough time. I need more time. Me too. So she agrees to give him 3 days to spend together. I want to shift now back to the past.
Okay.
Just enough to catch us back up to the present, and then we'll stay in the present. I want to talk about the scene where it's the end of the 30 days. Michael has planned this whole day for him. Michael, or Grayson as Michael, has planned this whole day for them together. She's very excited about it. She knows they're going to finally sleep together. She's very excited. And he tells her, I have to run an errand. I will be back. And friends, she waits and she waits and she waits and she waits and she calls and she calls and she calls. No answer. She's starting to really get worried and starting to stress. And it's much later in the day, and she has her flight that night. That's why she's panicking a little bit. She has to make her flight to Greece. This is the day when they're going to say goodbye, and she's still, what am I going to do? Am I going to stay? Am I going to go? All this time has passed, and we don't know where he's been. Well, he finally shows up, And she's so excited to see him and just so relieved that she immediately mauls him.
Yeah.
She, hugs him like a koala bear. They immediately have sex for the first time. It's very passionate. The chemistry is very high. He makes that statement about how nobody has looked at me that way before. The emotions are heightened because she was really stressed all that day.
Yeah.
When she finally asks him, "Where have you been?" he says he got arrested. After he comes in and talks about being arrested, they're intimate several more times. It's
a few that night.
At work. It's after one of these times that they're laying in bed and she finally asks him, "What was your big secret?" And this is when he opens up and talks about being an alcoholic. Let's chat about this scene.
Well, he's kind of paused because he is like, "My secret." She said, "Yeah, you wanted to tell me something." You could tell right then something was off. At this point, I'm like, "Yeah, this ain't the same guy." Mm-hmm. And he says he's an alcoholic. And she said, "No, that's not right. I've seen you drink." And he pauses for a breath and says, "But I want to drink more."
It's constantly on my mind.
It's constantly on my mind.
About.
So then the next morning she wakes up and all the alcohol is gone, which I was like, that's interesting.
Yes, and I also, you kind of alluded to this about him pausing and thinking about it. That was one of the things that I thought when I was really picking up on the fact that they had switched places. Mm-hmm. How was he keeping the story straight? What if she referenced something from the cave or, in an earlier time when it was Grayson she was with? I wondered how they handled that together. We're not really privy to any of those details, but that was just, little crumbs that I think about.
You kind of do. On some of it, because she does make comments and then he will just kind of look at her and then say, "Oh, yeah."
We also, I'm just going to back up just a little bit. Before he gets arrested, it's the night before, I believe, Grayson, as Michael, asks her, "If I didn't have any of this, would you still love me?" Mm-hmm. Would you still? And she says yes. And she references that with actual Michael when he is swapped places. And so that's kind of a trigger for him to continue on this deception.
Yeah.
The next morning, they are together and the doorman comes and knocks on the door. Let's talk about what happens next.
Well, he goes down. There's a visitor there for him. And
he does say it's his brother, so he knows his brother's there.
So he goes down, and when he comes back up, he's beaten. Mm-hmm. And she's freaking out because he got in a fight with him. And
this is the incident that she's referring to at the top of the story.
Yes. And she never sees Grayson. She wants to go down with him, but he won't let her. And we don't know it, but Grayson, who has been with her as Michael, gets arrested that time. Mm-hmm. And then spends 30 days in jail, which we'll talk more about that when we get the full story and the deception part. But yeah, there's just very intense. But the key thing of this fight is that when he comes back, this is the moment that she pinpoints throughout the rest of the book as the point that Michael changed. Yeah. And he never fully came back to being who he
was
when she met him. Which to me was very, if I'm just being honest, was so odd because I thought you've spent 30 days with somebody. They don't even get married until 3 years after they've been dating. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, wouldn't that in that 3 years, you have spent so much more time with somebody as a different personality than what you were used to? How did you not walk away sooner? That's what I kept thinking in my mind. Yeah. Is I thought, well, one, she told him, "I'm not going to go to Greece. I'd rather be here with you." And he just lets her.
Which, if it had been Grayson, I don't think he would have. I think he would have pressured her more to follow her dreams.
Yeah, and that's what he was going... I mean, he even says that later on. So I just felt like there were so many things that I thought, sister, why'd you even marry this guy? Mm-hmm. Like, could you not see that so much has changed and that you compromised so much of what you wanted to do? I mean, you're writing medical stuff when you wanted to write for a travel magazine. That it just doesn't compute. You really sacrificed your dreams. Yeah. All because you were hoping to capture something that you saw in the first 30 days.
Yeah.
It was just very interesting to me. We wouldn't have
It
a
was to
story,
me too.
but
Yeah.
anyway.
It's quite a few years into their marriage. She's been pressuring him to travel. His business as an architect is picking up, so he's kind of working all the time, all of that good stuff. And she's really wanting to travel. That's her dream. And he promised when they got married that they would travel. And so he finally agrees, okay, let's go to Hawaii. We'll go to Hawaii. And she's so excited for that. When they go to the airport, he's really panicking. You can see he's turning white. His knuckles are white as he's gripping the steering wheel. She's noticing these things about him, and as a reader, obviously, if you haven't picked up on the fact that they've swapped places now, this would have been a really good red flag for you to pick up on.
Yeah. Like looking at his phone.
And going into
Very
the bathroom
fidgety.
and coming back out as a totally different personality type.
Let's go.
This whole week but he also made the agreement they weren't going to have sex in Hawaii on their 1
So
week.
interesting.
I know. And in my notes I wrote, yeah, they're definitely switching places.
But she's thinking it's like when they first got together. And she's like,
Yeah.
oh, so romantic.
Yes. So they swap, and it's now Grayson going to Hawaii, and he has this whole wonderful week with her, and she has the best time, and she's thinking, oh, our marriage is going to be restored. He's back to when we first met. This is the man that I fell in love with. Mm-hmm. And one of the pivotal scenes in this trip is on the airplane back. That's one of them. We'll talk about the necklaces a second. And he's asking her, are you happy? Mm-hmm. And her inner dialogue to the reader is no. Mm-hmm. But she doesn't want to scare him away because she's like, oh, I've had this week where it's who I fell in love with. And she kind of gives a vague answer, which he misinterprets to say, yes, I am happy. And it's because of that he leaves her alone.
Which it shuts down on the plane, and she's thinking, oh man, he's reverting back to how he is at home. She was hoping she could take that trip with them. It's so sad to me that she's just, thinks this is it, this is a change. And yeah, that's really...
It was very sad. You can just feel him pulling away, realizing or thinking that she's happy with
when you think of the lengths that Michael went to, and I don't know that he had him kind of on standby. I think he was intentionally going to go on the trip, but at the last second he couldn't do it because he has to get in shape.
Okay, yes, I wrote that too. I'm like, he's getting abs because he knew he was going to swap with his brother.
But
what an interesting detail.
When they describe Grayson, there is a point where she talks about the muscles in his legs. And I'm thinking, Michael had to
start
really, really work hard because Grayson is just like, the dude is constantly hiking and doing all this thing, like totally different body. I'm like, man, you went to all that work just to not even get on the plane.
For 1 week, yeah.
Yeah, crazy. On the off chance that you needed your brother to step in.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Crazy.
I mentioned the necklace. She gives him this shell necklace, and he tells her, I'm never going to take it off. And then on the plane, she notices he doesn't have it on. Of course, he took it off because he didn't want Michael to have it. He wanted to keep it as Grayson. And he texted himself the pictures of her, which I loved that as well. Oh, and that was one of the things when he's making the deal in the present time about the 3 days. She says, why are you doing this? And he shows her that picture that he had taken of her in Hawaii where she's so carefree and happy. And he says, I want to bring this girl back. I want this person to return.
Which is so funny to me because she doesn't know about the deception yet.
Yeah.
And he's talking about how he stares at it all the time.
Yes, I had red flag. If this were a real life scenario, I would have reacted so differently to this obsessive, over the top.
What? Creepy.
He says, I know more. She says, you don't even know me. He says, I know more than you think. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the present timeline to finish out our conversation. We have a lot to chat about, but let's bring us up to speed on his big reveal. They haven't been intimate yet. He hasn't even kissed her yet. They've played their Monopoly. He's kissed her neck and things like that, but he hasn't kissed her on the mouth. They've done the strip Monopoly. This is the second time they've played Monopoly, and it's starting to progress.
So she comes in with all the socks. Oh, that was the best.
That was part of the humor in my rating.
Yeah.
So they're kind of progressing into having sex together, and it's in the middle of they haven't had sex yet, but they're in the middle of this intimate moment, and he says, I'm so in love with you, it hurts so much.
Yeah.
Record scratch. Come again?
Yeah.
That's
I would be freaking out
response.
too. Yeah. I'm sorry,
Valid response there,
Yeah.
Mina, for sure. He wants to tell her what happened. So this is kind of the big reveal about his and Michael's deception over the last 12 years.
Yeah.
Let's break this down. He starts back on the time because she's wanting to know, first of all, how many times have we had sex? And he says 0. So that automatically, as a reader, you know, it goes back to about the arrest or before.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he did, in fact, get arrested that day. He had to call his brother. His brother came and got him out of jail. He's in jail, but he's so stressed about her making the flight to Greece that he asks to make sure that his stint in jail is going beyond when her flight is supposed to take off. And he's panicked about that. So all he's caring about is her getting on that flight to Greece. So Michael steps in as Michael.
Yeah.
Takes his role back. This is when he comes in and she, ambushes him. They have sex, all that stuff. She decides to stay. The next morning, when he finally gets out of jail and comes to confront him, he's taken his phone, he's taken all the things, blocked her number his number from her phone. He's sent an email, all the things. This has been transpiring over, so many hours.
Like, Michael tells Grayson, though, that she wants nothing to do with him. I told her the truth. She knows everything. She wants nothing to do with you. It's over. You need to go. And he throws in his face Lily and says, I deserve her.
Oh.
Which we'll talk about Lily in just a second.
Because of Mina's response to him when he walks in and her, with the alcoholism, and he's like, oh, I need this. I need her in my life. He ambushes Grayson and takes over his life, basically.
Yes. Even though
sabotages it.
But Grayson was planning his whole thing.
That was his secret.
He was going to take her to his apartment, tell her the truth. He had been covering for Michael at work.
While he was in rehab.
Because he was in rehab. He was new at his work, and he didn't want to lose his credibility, so he jumps in and fills that role. He never actually tells Mina his name is Michael.
No. It was the lady that was there that said this is Michael. Which I did appreciate the fact that Grayson specifically tells her, I tried very hard not to directly lie to you. Now, we know that deception and omission is still lies.
Correct.
But he didn't flat out verbally lie to him. And Michael was actually scheduled to get out of rehab on the day he got arrested. And so he says, I did this for you. You owe this for me. I need you to step in and take her to the airport. And that's kind of what put him on a tailspin down. And so we know he blocked his number when he tried to call from Mongolia on their wedding day. Yeah. He intercepted that, told her that it was a telemarketer. She believed him. And then in that call, she tells, without knowing that it's Grayson,
that she's blissfully happy.
Leave me us alone. And it just spirals. Right. And so they continue. And then when he checked in with her on their Hawaii trip, are you happy? I just need to know, are you happy? He's gone all these years just pining for, waiting for an opportunity to reach out to her.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now we need to talk about the reason why Michael felt entitled.
Yes, let's talk about Lily.
So this was crazy because this is why we find out why they swapped places for the plane.
Yes.
Why Grayson did this. They both loved flying. They built airplanes. Grayson built airplanes. They were both pilots. He made a change, he being Grayson, to one of the planes. He made a modification. He forgot to tell Michael.
On one of the switch locations.
On one of the switches. And something was going wrong with the plane. Michael didn't know that the switch had been moved. But he was also at fault because he did not go through all the checklists like you're supposed to do as a pilot. Lily was actually Michael's fiance.
Yes.
The real Michael. And she died in that plane crash, and he survived. And he blamed Grayson for the death of Lily. Now, I love Mina because she points out, well, he should have gone through the checklist. And he says yes, but still, when Michael and Grayson have that fight, he throws that in his face. Basically, I deserve her, you don't, and I'm going to keep her.
Yes.
And it's this big fight. Obviously, this is so much for her to absorb that her whole marriage
was a sham.
I love her reaction, not like literally love it, but like the shock that she feels when she says, I had sex with him 5 minutes after I met him.
Yes. That was a punch in the gut.
It was.
And Grayson's response was he should not have done that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But the deception is so I'm not going to sit there and say that I would have reacted any differently than Mina.
No. I thought it was...
I honestly, as much as I care for Grayson, I probably would be, you're sick. This is sick.
We knew each other for 30 days.
And I need to
but it was quite the connection.
It was. If it was real life, I would be, get away from me.
Mm-hmm. Which she does. She takes
does.
some time. She steps back. Since we're
Only
talking...
for a day or two, though.
I know.
Because she goes to his hotel.
Well, she wants to hear his side, and she gets the full story, but then she does take a break. He says he needs to find out who he is without her, and she says, I need some time to process.
After they've had sex.
Yes, that's true.
They have sex. After she gets the whole story, they have sex.
This is one of my angsty. This is the scene. Okay, after they have sex, because she also notices he has the tattoo on there. She asks what it means. He says it's a name, but he doesn't. Well, it's in this moment when they finally have sex.
Dead giveaway that it's hers.
Oh yeah, he says it's her name. So after they have sex, this is the scene that I bumped my rating up, because after that he says, "This doesn't mean what I hope it does it?" And she says, "No." And I just felt so poorly for him, because he's had 12 years of loving this woman and basically getting the shaft from his brother and having to love her from afar.
Right.
And I just felt so bad for him that I had to bump my angst rate. I was so angst-filled in that scene.
Well, and when you find out like his wreck.
Yes.
And the look, that face that he is making on that magazine.
Because he's thinking about her.
Because he's thinking about her, like, all these years. Like, she has never left him. She's haunted him for all this time. He also makes a comment, too, about never being able to be with the one that he wants to be with. Mm-hmm. It kind of just, like, continues to elude him. He will never be able to have. She won't want me.
Yeah.
After all the things that he's been through and gone through. I have to make... I got to jump back real quick. This is what I was saying where I struggle with my rating.
Okay, tell us.
As soon as I finished, I thought this is a 5. This story is gold. I love this. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, wait. Maybe it's a 4.5. Because where are their parents the whole time, friend? It never mentions Grayson and Michael's parents. And I thought to myself, you didn't have any kind of relationship with your in-laws? Never, not once, did you have any relationship with their family
to learn that
he was a twin and figure out the truth of what went on. No Christmas, no Hanukkah or whatever, no Halloween, whatever your life and holidays are with your family. And I struggle with that. So I called you. We were on Marco Polo, and I was like, I don't know what to do. But you said something that I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So then I bumped it to a 5.
So I said, Michael he's always been very to himself and protective of his relationship with her. One, he's living in deceit. He's deceiving her. So why would he try and parade her around anybody that would be able to break his lie or put any kind of cracks or thoughts of, deception in her mind? Why would he do that?
Fun theory that I have in my mind. These two guys, when they were young, were building planes. Grayson has no money. He talks about how Michael has all the money. My thought is that they really had rich parents. And they had money. Because there ain't no way you're out there building a plane.
That's true.
Without having some money.
That's true.
Anyway.
That's a good theory.
But I went back to 5 because I was like, that makes sense. Maybe they're like really hot twin orphans. So it's a 5. Anyway, that was my dilemma.
It was a good dilemma, and I'm glad I got to help you work through that.
I know. So good. Okay, back to the story.
He comes to the coffee shop and watches her writing this article. He asked her later what she was doing, and she was writing an article that she submitted to Travel Leak, this travel magazine journal. And he has worked with him. He talks about how he has worked with him several times with his photography, and he has connections there. And would she like him to make a call? And she says, thank you very much. I would like that. And we learn that because of that, she gets this job.
Yes.
And guess where she gets to travel? Because he put a bug in their ear saying she'll be most likely to accept if you offer her a job to go to
Greece.
So she's going to go. And guess what? She reaches out to him. This is after she has a conversation with her mother. She waited, and her mom is actually the one that says, you need to give him a chance. And
well, she sees it on a show, and Kate is there bawling her eyes out.
You need to give him a shot. You need to give him a shot, which I love that she's like, fine, I will. And so he's also well known for his photography, so people recognize him and all that stuff. But when she gets the job offer to go to Greece, she asks him to go with her.
I love it. I love that after she watches that documentary, that she messaged him, and she kind of panics because he doesn't message back. But then 3 hours later...
She says, I have something I want to tell you, but I want to tell you in person.
2.5 hours later, it's like a 3-hour drive. 2.5 hours later, because that was another thing, red flag with the brothers, is that he drove fast and relaxed.
Yep.
And Michael was all 10 and 2.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry, squirrel. But he shows up. And it's just like, let's not do this. Let's just be in love. I love that. I love that they get to the airport. He's traveling to where he's traveling. She's traveling in Greece. I love that he asked her if it's okay.
Yeah.
To come with her.
Yeah.
And they get this trip. And he doesn't care. Like, he's like, I don't care if I lose a job. I know that, where Travel League, that they'll have me. It's just it's one of those things that the angst of this could have been so much higher because this type of story, just talking about after we went through it, I'm like, man, I really kind of lowballed that. Really should have said more. But I guess the angst is the time wasted.
Yeah. And I thought about you for sure because you hate time jumps. You hate time jumps.
I hate it.
And this was a time jump she didn't know about until after the fact, which is a unique twist. We've never covered a story where one of the characters doesn't realize they're in a time jump.
I said that the death of the spouse was unique.
Yes, it is.
The story was crazy good.
And I know our conversation has been a little disjointed, and I apologize for that. It's, a lot of the past and present going back and forth with the continuity of it. We were a little bit all over the place in this episode, but thank you for hanging in here with us. I love this story so much.
I do too. And listen, there was twists and turns.
Yes, there were.
Okay? So just like how you didn't know if it's Grayson or Michael, you just had to bear with us because you didn't know where Sarah and Amy were going, but trust us. All right?
We made it to the end
We made it to the end. It was so good. It was a little wild, but stick with us. It's a good time. You'll always end up happy at the end, like Mina and Grayson. Finally. All right, well, that concludes our discussion of When We Had Forever. We hope you enjoyed it. Want to continue the conversation with us? You can hit us up on Instagram at Postbook Depression Podcast or on our Facebook page at Postbook Depression Discussion Group. You can also email us at postbookdepressionpodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, keep reading.